Hello, my lovely Aquarius gang. So again, I'm going to say this is not going to be for the entire collective, but for those of you for whom I'm reading, this seems to be relevant. Let me just adjust that a little bit. Okay, so when I first started seeing you, I was seeing you on the inside of a fish tank going to the glass. And what was interesting, because in spite of the fact that you were going like that to the glass, you weren't particularly distressed. You were aware of the fact that you needed to get out, but you were still breathing. And there were other fish swimming around in the tank. But the priority was you getting out of the tank. Now, if we look at water as emotions, which we do, and the unconscious and all sorts of wonderful things like that. What this signifies to me, Aquarius, is that some of you are experiencing yourself in certain emotions right now, or in the context where there are a lot of emotions going around, and there may be a sense of overwhelm coming with that. And it might be because you're having to manage all of this. Okay, now what I'm getting is there's a structure. Thank you. There's a structure that you're creating, that you have created for yourself, in which there is the need for you to deal with a lot of emotions. Now, whether or not this is a work structure you've created, or whether or not, I see it very clearly also that it can be the social structure you've created in which you're around a lot of emotional people, whether it's work or something you've created in your social life or your family life. There's a lot of emotion around you right now. And while you're normally, no, I can't say that. That's not what they want. You can sometimes go into a state of overwhelm without even realizing you're doing it. The thing about overwhelm is that it really is progressive. It doesn't happen all at once. You know, the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back means things have been building one at a time, and then all of a sudden it's too much. But the thing about overwhelm is, as you're reaching that breaking point, you can often find yourself going into a state of hopelessness. It's kind of like an adjunct to overwhelm, because when you reach overwhelm, and, you know, I will say, I link it very closely to the idea of burnout, is that there is that sense, because there's no energy left to motivate, there can be a sense of hopelessness that comes along with it. The interesting thing about that, however, is that hopelessness very often will bring up old triggers where there was a sense of powerlessness, where there was a sense of perhaps overwhelm, but at the very least a sense of powerlessness that one has experienced in the past, where one was not able to make conscious choices to put themselves in a better position. Often that happens in childhood, but not always. Sometimes it's in work situations that can activate that. Typically speaking, in energy work, what we look at is usually there is some kind of core belief that happens very early on, often at an unconscious stage, that will create a certain frequency that will then attract experiences as a way to sort of bring consciousness to what the belief is, so that it can be dismantled, right? So if that's happening for you, then I would say, yay, you're getting to look at an old trigger. Because the thing is, if it's in there, it's resonating, and it's something that's going to be inclined to come up anyway. So in one way or another. And who wants to be constantly working in a state where they're constantly working to overwhelm because they don't realize it? And the thing with you, Aquarians, is because you can compartmentalize your emotions quite easily, you can very easily get out of feeling that progress towards overwhelm, and then into flat, hopelessness, disinterested apathy. What the guides have been telling you for a while is that when you are in your real self, when you are grounded and aware and able to really feel your feelings and make choices from that place, you're pretty much unstoppable, because you like to see people happy. You like to see people well. You like to see the world being a better place. These are all things that you appreciate. What you're being given the opportunity to do now as a part of your spiritual growth is identify where fear has taken over and has motivated many of your choices that have sometimes kept you in that pattern of moving into overwhelm all the time. Overdo, overwhelm, and then crash. Okay? That's not a productive use of your energy. When you can start balancing out your desire to help and see things better with that feeling sense of what is good for you in the moment, you're not going to go into overwhelm. And what you're going to be doing is, and I am remembering this now, it seems to be happening lately. I remember a reading weeks ago where they were talking to you specifically about, I think it was you, wanting you to manifest out of joy. That what you're building, it's important to build what you're building with the energy that you want to share. So it's not work, get it done. It will be a great spiritual piece or help humanity. It's do it in a way where the universe can support this. And the universe can support it when you are letting the universe support you through it. This is about you really letting the universe in. The universe, compassion, sacredness, connection to all things, life enhancement, joy. It is moving towards the love aspect. The universe loves you. That is the nature of the universe. It is the stuff we are all made of. You are made of love. You are being encouraged to wake that up in you. So you feel that love and you allow that love for yourself to be as sacred, as important as any love you are feeling or giving to anybody else. This is where you're being asked to move by your angels. Now, what you're being told is when you move into, because a lot of this is motivated by fear, right? The doing, the going into overwhelm. It can be a real fear response. And here's an interesting thing that I didn't realize until just now, and that is that you can have a fear response to something that you were not previously ever afraid of, just because something else early on in your life really triggered that fear and survival response in you. You can translate it into other kinds of fear responses, such as, if I don't work harder than everybody else, I'll be fired. If I don't do this, people will reject me. So fear can show up, can start somewhere else with an experience that is not connected to how you're living fear now. But because it got brought up, it's an open window on your computer, it can be there and motivating you in other ways as well. So what you're being asked, Aquarius, is check in with what your feelings are when you're making choices to do things. And if you're finding yourself feeling in any way uncomfortable, check to see if there's a fear of failure, a fear if you don't keep going, you're going to stop, a fear of being rejected, a fear of not having enough money, any kind of fear or worry. Worry is just another face of fear. So what do you find yourself worrying about in relation to that choice? What may be the underlying fears? And if you find yourself in that state of fear, one of the best things to do is to smile. Now, I never heard this before until I did this reading for you. And what I realized when I experimented with this was Fear is root chakra, right? It's the root chakra. It's the bottom of it's the negative pole of the nervous system. When you smile, and you smile from your heart and you let it move through your eyes, your mouth is only the connection part between the energy and your head. And if you can think of something that allows you to generate a genuine smile that starts in your heart, what I felt was the energy lifting from the bottom of my spine and the bottom of my body all the way up to the top. It literally raises your energy and moves it out of the fear zone, which is in the root chakra, and moves it up through your nervous system into the zone where you are connected to higher consciousness and your high heart. And in that space where you are experiencing that sense of loving, which is, and all those emotions that I just said are a part of the loving aspect, not the lower ones, the upper ones, that literally raises your energy and moves you out of fear and into expansion. In that place, it's much easier for you to notice what is motivating you. What are the words you are using to describe this situation that can be a key indicator of what is motivating you? So if you're using words like should, have to, can't, try, impossible, can't, whatever, any words that put you into a category or label you in some way as powerless or victimized, anything that diminishes you in any way, those are the kinds of words that are going to indicate that there is a fear frequency there for you. So check in with your words. And then you can use that smile. And from that smile, now, you can breathe and you can notice and name whatever the feelings were, wherever you want to go. And just once you name the feelings and you allow yourself to just hold them and breathe and be aware, it will change, because emotions are energy. They want to move. By their nature, energy wants to move. It wants to change. So by noticing it, by breathing, by noticing it and naming it, what you're doing is you're giving it more energy to be able to change. It will transmute. It will move from one chakra to the next, give you more information, and ultimately leave your system. Okay? So it's very, very specific. It's really asking you to keep an eye out for the fear, to be as neutral as you can when these things come up, to notice, to name, to breathe, and experiment. Experiment with doing things differently. Experiment with looking at your life differently. Take a chance on coming out of the fish tank. And remember, as well as smiling full on, remember your great qualities. Remember the wonderful things that you have got to offer. When fear comes in and says, I can't, what happens if, just go back to smile from your heart up through to your eyes. Let it move up all the way to your eyes, and allow yourself to breathe and experiment by, instead of looking at the negative, just focus on the fact that you have got great qualities and many wonderful things to offer, and that you can do it in a way that is good for you, and that is what the universe supports. And that as you play with the universe, as you deliberately engage in starting to speak to it and expecting it to speak back through your intuition, what you do is you increase your ability to stay centered and grounded and be less affected by fear. Because once you start realizing at a really tangible level that you are connected to the unified field, that there is help for you from spirit, that there is guidance coming to you and consciousness from the unified field that will come to you when you need it, by virtue of you slowing down and asking, and then taking the time to breathe and connect to that inner self. You get the information. And as you know you're more and more connected to that, the reason for fear, the rationale of having fear, it doesn't make sense anymore when you know you've got all of this working for you as well. okay? Because then you're more in the higher self, less in the ego. And the ego is where the fear, courage polarity exists. So there you go, Aquarius. I think this is pretty specific and pretty clear. I won't repeat myself. And I'm going to go listen to it now and see just how much sense it makes. I hope it does to you. Take care, my very dear Aquarius.